Greetings of the day to all the viewers. So today we are going to see how diary plays an important role in the text, the sense of an ending. So is my screen visible?
Yet not. That is, yes, now we are able to see.
Okay. Or let's have a look how Julian Barnes had put a device, literary device, a diary, and how diary is displaying itself as a postmodern device in the sense of an ending. Yes. So postmodernity is certain of its uncertainty. So we can say that this presentation aims to analyze one of the major symbolic device, that is diary, from the text with the postmodernist lens. And it deals with the aspects of postmodernism, which will assist in equating similarly to the language of Julian Barnes in the selected text. So what are the aspects of postmodernism? That is language, unreliability in narration, fragmentation, allusions, intertextuality, as well as questioning the history. These are the means of postmodern narrative, among which diary plays a vital role as a mainstay in driving the plot. So, the author of The Tale of a Man Looking Back on the Botched Moment of Youth, that is, the Julian Barnes, is the author of several books of stories, essays, and translation of the selected work and numerous novels. So, it is observed by Michael Wood that Julian Barnes specializes in Englishness the way some doctors specialize in broken bones or damaged nerves. So, here, Englishness as our language plays a vital role while we are looking from postmodernist lens. In October 2011, the text Sense of an Ending was awarded the Man Booker Prize. Research objectives are to characterize the symbol of diary as the brightest example of postmodernism, moreover, to bring forth the philosophical inferences of accumulations as well as the chain of responsibility as mentioned in the fragment of the diary, or to justify the link metaphor and interpret the philosophical courage mentioned in the diary by the diary writer. Next is research questions. How far the postmodernist uncertainty can be interpreted from this presentation, or to what extent the link metaphor in the equation can be deciphered as a metaphor, and how the diary happens to be the mainstay for the intellectual growth of the protagonist as well as the readers. So yes, the methodology employed for this research is the investigation of analysis as well as context in which the diary is written here, and how the diary play an important role, as well as the clarification and interpretive method is used. Furthermore, analysis method is also used. Sense of an ending. Let us have some brief introduction of the text. So Anita Bruckner from the Daily Telegraph mentions that it's a mystery is embedded as the most archaic of memories, and it's a hard style rich in human resonances. So whenever we are looking at postmodernism or the aspect of postmodernism, this kind of language plays an important role with precision, dexterity, and insight. So one of the most distinguished authors, that is Julian Barnes, puts some postmodernist elements in his text as well as some modernist elements also. So postmodernism, if we try to look at the very origin of the word, then the meaning and function of postmodernism is to operate at the place of closure, in the margins, or multiple at the multiple ages of these claims to self-consciousness and auto-reflection, as noted by Silverman. So postmodernist thinking offers to reread the text numerous of times. So the analysis will be done on language, on reliability, fragmentation, intertextuality, and questioning the history. Language, if we see, then Barnes is displaying the playfulness in the language, that is witty style. And furthermore, whenever he narrates the story through the Tony Webster, the narrator or the protagonist, he says that I remember from the very first line of the book, that is, I remember in no particular order. So he remembers something, but in not particular order. And what he remembers isn't the same as what he had witnessed in the experiences. So Furthermore, fragmentation is there. Numerous times the narrator goes to his past memories and refers to back then we used to do certain things. Things were like this, and presently things are like them, are like this. As well as I am as a narrator looking at things like this. So we are getting three types of perspectives in the novel at present time. Furthermore, questions. Yes, as we can see that postmodern elements questions the real history, like how the earlier texts were going in a linear form, and how this text, particularly this postmodernist with the text with the postmodernist elements is going. So the classroom discussion and the diary uh, are used as an illustration to refer this the concept of history. Furthermore, language. Yes, language creates meaning. Postmodernist believes that language is seen as having power to create truth, and somehow what is said matters more than what might usually define reality. So, a postmodern approach often emphasizes language over transcendent truth. So, let us move to diary. So, what diary? What symbolizes a diary, and how we look at the concept of diary in our regular basis. So Frank Kafka in his diaries notes that one advantage in keeping a diary is that you become aware with a reassuring clarity of the changes which you constantly suffer. Here, if we take our protagonist, Tony Webster, he had put his friend Adrian Finn towards that elevated position or towards that pinnacle that we are supposed to, or we are believing that his friend Adrian Finn was the real sufferer because he was believing in existential theory, and that is why we can observe also that people who keep diary are more vulnerable. They do whenever they try to write something in the diary, they write it because they are not finding it comfortable around themselves to the people to express them to the people surrounded by them. So they write their thoughts and expression in the form of diary. Moreover, we can say that yes, a document is how this concept of diary is introduced. First of all, we are introduced with a document that here are some of the textual evidences where we are moved, we are progressing towards the concept of diary with the help of documents. So I was informed that as Tony Webster believes when he gets the letter from Sarah Ford, Mrs. Sarah Ford. So Mrs. Sarah Ford also is not quite sure of her motives of passing the Adrian's property to Tony Webster, as well as if we see the solicitor's message, that is Eleanor Marriott, that she wasn't ready to part with it, which she passes this Veronica's message to Tony, which says that this document carries a lot of information or private information, which was we can assume also through the postmodernist lens that Adrian Finn would be having such a insight of looking at reality that would so make the people surrounded by him somewhat. And the diary was the evidence. It might be corroboration. Yes, Tony notes that it might disrupt the banal recreations of memory. It might jumpstart something, though I had no idea what. Even if Tony doesn't have any idea, we can say that he is having idea, because language plays a very vital role here in understanding what the reality is, or what the language or what the words are saying to us. So it all begins like the quest of diary begins with the email campaign, and at last the fragment of disrupted document, that is diary, is given to us as the readers as well as to Tony. So Adrian's diary. Here there are some of the evidences, textual evidences, which we can get clearer by the meanings. That is the question of accumulation. If life is a wager, what form does the bet take? So if here it means to say that we can read from the words that Adrian Finn had attained that kind of intellectual or philosophical height that he is looking at the relations from a philosophical point of view, or rather say mathematical integers or variables. He is looking at the chain of responsibility as well as the chain of relations of his life from not from an ordinary point of view, but from a different point of view. Let us say, for example, an unusual point of view for now, to prove that how his views are in the next slide. So there is the question of accumulation. We can see that, and to what extent might human relationships be expressed in mathematical or logical formula. We can assume that Adrian covers up his feelings with the ideas of philosophy as well as the existentialist Camus and Nietzsche. So he is not directly expressing, but he is covering up certain emotions behind the veil of language. So behind the veil of words. So here, if we try to decipher the equation, that is B, we all are knowing that which variable stands for which thing. But here the link is that the signs, that is minus, plus, addition and division, division and subtraction, multiplication and addition. So here is the link metaphor used by Adrian to inform his readers, or to inform as a narrator, or as a Julian Barnes uses this to inform the reader. So link can turn out to be a false metaphor, because Adrian has personally generated this metaphor and had given a philosophical height to his feelings. So but what if these links turn out to or supposed to be wrong? So the whole chain of responsibility, if we assume that baby was created because Sarah Ford were having kind of negative, or what we say, kind of not proper relationship with Veronica, her daughter, and which turned out to be like her daughter's boyfriend was occupied by Sarah to express her feelings. So if we look at the second example, then Tony is also entered here by Adrian in Adrian's diary. So how far, if we assume that if Tony is having a positive relationship with Veronica, later they break up and Adrian enters in her life, and later by Tony's letter, Adrian meets Sarah Ford and the relation altogether multiplies. So in the end, when in the fragmented piece of document where Adrian writes, so for instance, if Tony, so we can assume that if the baby is not of Adrian Fins, then it can be assumed that it is of Tony Webster, because Sarah Ford might have developed a relation with Tony Webster also, because language is very much flexible. We can read as much as we want from this language. So we can say that, or Adrian has assumed that if the baby must be of Tony Webster, then who will take the responsibility of growing up of baby? So if he can't do that, then it is better to exercise his moral freedom or his existential thoughts. So he later do as per his wish with his life. So we can say that it can be assumed, or we can say that the philosophical height of the fragmented page carries a meaning on its own, and we are not taking this Adrian as the writer of the page, but the fragmented page should remain fragmented page only without any writer. So in order to decipher the real meaning, and the meaning varies from reader to reader. So humans think in language, and therefore the thoughts about some subjective or complex ideas remain in constant quest for their numerous interpretations. Hence, it can be said that the novel is a tale of complication of reading as well as understanding the fragmented piece of diary. Here are the works cited. Thank you.
Okay, fine.